Sorry, I don't deal in brains very often.
Welcome to Books and Banter, a podcast about books. I'm Janine, a library clerk.
And I'm Jess, branch admin.
And we both work at the Winkler branch of South Central Regional Library. In this podcast, we talk about books with our own twist. We read the first half of the book and predict where it might be going, and then finish reading the book and discuss the second half.
There will be snark, there will be spoilers, and depending on the book, there may be references to violence, sex, and other adult topics. So if that's not for you, stop listening now.
All right, let's get into this week's book.
All right, today we are reading Crow Mary by Kathleen Grissom. In 1872, 16-year-old Goes First, a Crow native woman, marries Abe Farwell, a white fur trader. He gives her the name Mary, and they set off on the long trip to his trading post in Saskatchewan, Canada. Along the way, she finds a fast friend in a Métis named Jeannie, makes a lifelong enemy in a wolfer named Stiller, and despite learning a dark secret of Farwell's past, falls in love with her husband. The winter trading season passes peacefully. Then, on the eve of their return to Montana, a group of drunken whiskey traders slaughters 40 Nakota, despite Farwell's efforts to stop them. Mary, hiding from the hail of bullets, sees the murderers, including Stiller, take 5 Nakota women back to their fort. She begs Farwell to save them, and when he refuses, Mary takes 2 guns, creeps into the fort, and saves the women from certain death. Thus, she sets off a whirlwind of colliding cultures that brings out the worst and best in the cast of unforgettable characters and pushes the love between Farwell and Crow Mary to the breaking point. This book was originally published June 6, 2023, and this is Grissom's 3rd book. It is a standalone, as far as I know, and this is her highest rated book on Goodreads. Not by a lot, but anyway. Some info about the author, more about her early life, because this paragraph, the second paragraph here, fascinated me. Born Kathleen Dopker, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, sorry. I was privileged as a child to be raised in Anaheim, Saskatchewan, a hamlet on the plains of Canada. Although we lived in a small, tightly knit Roman Catholic community, I was fortunate to have parents who were open to other religions and cultures. Since television was not a luxury in our household could afford, books were the windows that expanded my world. Soon after Sister Colette, my first grade teacher, introduced me to Dick, Jane, and Sally, I began to read on my own. I was a fanciful child and became so influenced by books that while I was reading 5 Little Peppers and How They Grew, I ate only cold boiled potatoes. The truth is, this lasted only for a day, as I suffered with them through their hardships. After reading Out of Green Gables, I was convinced that I, too, was adopted, until my mother told me to stop the foolishness and to look in the mirror. I had her nose. She was right. I limped desperately during Red Shoes for Nancy until my sister Judy told me to cut it out. People would think that something was wrong with me. Wanting to more closely experience Helen Keller's tribulations, at every opportunity I walked with closed eyes until I solidly whacked my head on a doorframe. Enid Blyton's Famous Five series had me looking for adventure around every corner, and when in class Rudyard Kipling's Kim was read aloud, I couldn't wait to leave for far-off lands. So currently, I believe she lives in the States, in a plantation house. I think that they renovated and have done a lot of things too. So but I just thought this was really interesting, that she like threw herself into the characters.
Yeah.
But yeah. So anyways, some background info on today's read. Cover-wise, it's a pretty simple cover.
Pretty basic.
It's got a feather on the front. It's red.
Boards are yellow.
Yeah. Kind of golden, actually. But it's not like, if I thought, I probably would not have picked it up just on its own merit of the cover. Not its merit. I wouldn't have picked it up by looking at the cover.
It's simple, but I could make an educated guess as to the content of it.
Yeah.
But it's simple, but I like it. Like,
yeah.
It doesn't always have to be a crazy complex cover.
No, but it's just, the cover looks, I don't know. It's just not something that, like, I would be like, oh, I gotta read this book. Look at that cover.
It's not Homecoming that we picked specifically based on the cover.
Right? Yeah, but it's a fine cover.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what do you think of the book, since you don't like the cover?
It's not that I don't like the cover. It's just, the cover alone would not persuade me to read the book. So I am enjoying this book. I'm finding it at parts a little slow. But something about this time period, this is the type of historical fiction that I like to read. I don't know why. I love it. Like,
I'm surprised you don't like Louis L'Amour more than, because that's pretty much the time period he always writes in.
I know, but it's cowboys and I don't know. It's not. I don't like westerns. It's the western part of it that I don't love. To me, it's like pioneers and also like the relationship between the Indian people. Can I say Indian? Because that's what they called them, or Aboriginal.
I was debating it between the whole thing because there's been so many terms that I'm not entirely sure what the current correct one is.
Yeah.
Because there's Native people, Indigenous people, First Nations, Aboriginal, and what am I missing?
I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah,
So let's say Indigenous. I feel like that's one that I hear often. Mm-hmm. Anyways, something about their relationships with the white people, I don't know why I find that so fascinating. I think I must have had a teacher at one point who like he loved history, and I think that we spent a lot of time on that, and maybe something about it just caught me. Like a few years ago, I think the Canada Reads winner was The Orenda by Joseph Boyden, which was a book like that. It was about a tribe in this kind of time period and the white people coming, and I don't know, I just find it very interesting. What did you think?
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
I really like the fact that she spends a lot of time on life before getting married. Mm-hmm. And a lot on the culture, the customs, the way they live. Mm-hmm. Because oftentimes I find, especially when it's something where they're going to leave their family, their tribe, for the white man's land, whether that be something like a trading post or, whatever other situation they have. Oftentimes it's like, oh yes, no, they lived in a teepee. Okay, cool, pack up your bags, let's go. Mm-hmm. And I like the fact they took as much time to explain the customs and lifestyle as they did. And especially all the parts of the buffalo being used.
Yeah.
I found quite fascinating.
Did you not know that?
I knew a fair amount of it, but I didn't realize the shoulder blades were used for scrapers.
Yeah. And that the tongue was a delicacy.
Tongue was a delicacy, I knew that. I don't understand the taste of it personally, but, I also don't like fish, so maybe I'm just weird.
Close to where I grew up, I don't know if you probably know about buffalo drops. Mm-hmm. And so there was one close to where I grew up. So we went there for a field trip one year. That was so there was that, and like the RCMP, the trail, that was the part of it.
The no, my brain's stuck on Northwest Passage.
Yeah, no, I don't. North was the word that came to my mind also, but I don't remember what it's called. But that was also part of our field trip, and some like a flour mill or something. Anyways, it was like one of the lamest field trips that we ever went on. But
a buffalo drop is fascinating.
Yes, that part was kind of interesting.
But it's also not necessarily something I'd take a group of kids to, because you're definitely going to have those kids that are like, I'm going to jump. But ultimately, unless there's a lot of bones or fossils or something, it's just a higher part that moves suddenly to a lower part of the earth.
I don't even know that we went down to the bottom, to be honest. And it's basically just like a straight drop.
Yeah, it's just a small clip.
It's nothing to really see. That's why it was kind of a dull field trip.
If it had more of a... Don't get me wrong. I think there's definitely things that should just be left alone and not turned touristy. But it is one of those, like, if there was more of a exhibit around it, it would make more sense for a field trip. Mm-hmm. But if kids already don't have a whole ton of interest in it, you're just going to have a bunch of kids that are going to try out the buffalo drop. And then there's a lot of letters to the parents and ambulances, and it's just...
I don't recall anybody trying it out, but I do know, so we must have been learning about that time period, of course. And so, yeah, but it's very interesting. I loved how they kept saying God be praised. I don't know why it struck me as funny, because I pictured them using it like kind of sarcastically. you know?
I
I don't
didn't
know.
catch that at all.
It was something that Jeannie had picked up from the nuns when she was at the orphanage. And so anytime something happened, they would go, God be praised.
Jeannie does sound like she would say it sarcastically.
Yeah. It just struck me as funny every time. And so now I'm like, I'm going to start saying God be praised.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is interesting. And yes, I do appreciate the detail also because the other thing she was talking about was the teepee. And when they got to the fort or whatever trading post, she wanted to set up her teepee because that's where she wanted to live. And he talked about, well, no, it's too big because it's like this big. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess they would have to be like, it never.
They're sizable.
Yeah, never really occurred to me because I think the only teepee that I've really seen is the one that's in the Manitoba Museum, which is not that big.
No, that one's definitely smaller.
Yeah.
But it's not exactly as though they're all one size either.
Well, no.
Like you'll have smaller and larger ones, but
I just never thought about it.
the fact that not when they were at the fort before where she met Jeannie, where she's basically like, your tent stinks, we're putting up my lodge.
Yeah, right. She's got spunk and I like that.
I really like her as a character. Like,
and she's like, I'm not gonna let a man tell me what to do.
No.
I'm gonna, like, he says I can't rescue these women, I don't care, I'm gonna go get him. I'm gonna take my guns, I know I'm a good shot.
yeah.
Here we go.
And frankly, the way she did it is pretty much the only way you could do without it becoming an all-out shooting match. But she is a character or real-life person,
Yes.
that just will get stuff done.
Yeah, she will.
Like, the fact that she can ride better than most, the fact that she can shoot better than majority of them. She's a character I can get behind. And she is, in the book anyway, adapting to living in the white man's world.
Well, she's trying.
But without losing her culture entirely, which is a very tough thing it's a tough balancing act.
Yeah.
But even, like, okay, when she married Farwell, I didn't read the back of the book because I never do. I just go, Crow married, cool, in.
Well, you must have read it at some point because you suggested this book when you were doing book orders.
When I did the orders.
Yeah.
But I did that order about 1.5 years ago. So I remember nothing. But when Farwell started coming around, I'm like, okay. Considering he literally went wife shopping, there are times where I'm like, this has gone horribly wrong for so many people. You see how it goes.
Yeah, I know. You didn't necessarily trust him.
No.
I'm still not sure I trust him entirely.
I don't ever trust anybody entirely. But so far he has been a good guy. Like, he's respected her culture. He's tried to understand. He, like, oftentimes in this type of story where, you know, a trapper marries a Native American woman, there'll be the punishment for doing a Native American thing. Like, for example, when he gave her the bracelet and she immediately gave it to her mother. Or when he gave her the 6-shooter and she immediately gave it to Jeannie. Quite often there'll be some kind of punishment for doing that, but he just was confused and went, why? And she explained it and he went, oh, well, I like the fact you're very generous.
Yeah.
And I like that. Like, it's not... He's not the villain so far.
No, and it seems like they have more of a partnership kind of relationship also, which I like.
Yep. And especially the fact that he didn't just, like, shove her in the kitchen and go, there, go cook. And he's like, no, you're not cooking. We got other stuff to do.
Yeah, you're helping me with this, with the trading and, yeah.
So, but so far, he's been better than I thought he would be.
Yeah,
Which,
I know.
Considering I was concerned he would be more along the lines of Stiller.
Yes.
We're doing okay.
Although he is friends with those guys, which...
She's friends with him, and I'm like...
calls into question.
Dude, really? But on the other hand, men make 5 friends at the beginning of life and just keep them. And to be fair, Stiller did save his life, so I understand how he feels like he owes him something.
Yeah.
On the other hand, he's a creep now, so goodbye.
Yeah, right? It's learn when to let them go.
In the fact that Stiller pretty much killed Pierre.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. When Pierre died, I was mad. How dare you?
I know.
And I felt so bad for Dubois.
Yeah.
Like, no, his dog died too.
I know. And she was so mad at him.
And the dogs were like the best of friends, which is the most adorable thing.
Yeah.
My sister's dogs are the best of friends, and it is hilarious because when they don't see each other, they get so excited to see each other again, and they're bouncing around like friends. So that's just what I imagine every time, and now they're gone, and she didn't even get to shoot anybody because of it.
She might yet. Book's not done.
I suspect she will.
We should, mention outright, we've sort of alluded that this Crow Mary was a real person. Mm-hmm. And while this is fiction, Kathleen did speak with her great-granddaughter, I believe.
His granddaughter or great-granddaughter, yeah.
And I know she talked to Crow elders when writing this book. So I believe, my understanding is she did do her research and due diligence with this. So, yeah, because you never know sometimes with books like this how accurate and...
Or how sensationalized they are.
Yeah. And this to me doesn't seem like super sensationalized, I wouldn't say.
No. It's definitely told in a narrative form. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure there's been creative liberty taken in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Because, well, there's gaps you're going to have to fill in. It's not as though she wrote a diary every day and went, this is what I'm doing. But by all accounts, she has done a lot of research into making this as accurate as possible. Mm-hmm. Even when the Nakota first arrived. So often in books where there's Native American characters, there's the one tribe and one custom fits all approach, which is horribly inaccurate. Mm-mm. Not that there's not a lot of similarities often in terms of just general, we use every part of an animal type of deal. Mm-hmm. But I like the fact that she pointed out that the Nakota, the way they cooked their, I think it was buffalo that they were cooking at the time, the way they cooked their buffalo was something that Mary had never seen before. Yeah. It was a completely different method. They dug a hole in the ground, they put in a buffalo skin, they put the meat and the water in, and then just kept replenishing it with hot stones. Yeah. The hot stones made the water boil. Yeah. And it was like, really? Is that possible? Yeah. And I'd never heard of anything like that before. I've heard of using hot stones for boiling water when you don't have a thing that, a container you can actually boil water in. I've heard that as a thing before, but I've never heard of the digging out a hole, putting the buffalo skin in, using the rib bones to keep the skin in place, and then using that as the container. But you will often get birch bark containers. Okay. As long as you keep the fire below the water line, you can put those on a fire, you can boil water that way and it works fine. Okay. But you will sometimes get bigger containers or whatever that putting hot stones into is how you make them boil. But I like the fact that she acknowledged the fact that Mary had never seen it done that way. Mm-hmm. And despite the fact they're, I don't want to say they're relatively close, the Nakota and the Crow, because they had several days of travel in between, and one was Montana and one was Saskatchewan. Mm-hmm. But even the relatively short distance, we're not talking Nevada and Saskatchewan, where you'd expect there to be significant changes. Yeah. But even just that little bit of distance already affected quite a bit the way of cooking and preserving and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Yeah. I like that she is distinguishing between the tribes. I don't like that the wolfers put poison on buffalo carcasses to kill wolves and other animals that might come around. I've never heard of that before either, and I think that's a gross practice. It was a relatively common practice. I've heard of it before. I do not agree with it. I do not agree with the wasting of the animals. No. Because it's... See, that's the thing. When it comes to me and hunting, no problem with hunting. Mm-hmm. I have a problem with waste. Yeah. If you're hunting an animal, you need to eat the animal. You need to use the animal. Mm-hmm. The trophy hunting of, I just want the hide, I just want the head, I just want the horns, is incredibly frustrating because there's people that could use the meat, they could use the hide, and you're just wasting it. Mm-hmm. Come on. And I like the fact she listed all of the uses of the buffalo. They kept the hide for tents and things. They ate the meat, they ate the tongue, The brain was used for tanning the hides.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
that part kind of...
horns were used for the cups. The ribs were used for... Well, I think actually they ate buffalo ribs quite a bit.
Yeah.
But the shoulder blades were used for scraping the hides.
Mm-hmm.
The tails were used as crops or fly swatters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the hooves were used for glue.
Yeah.
I made a mental note of that one just in case I'm ever near a buffalo and need glue.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I've heard of horse hooves being used for glue, but never buffalo.
But,
Yeah.
like, a million uses.
Yeah.
And they're just left out there
Mm-hmm.
and used to poison wolves.
I know.
Like,
Sad.
no.
Yeah, that brain thing really got me. When she was talking about rubbing the
Really?
brains on the... I was like, whoa, gross.
Huh. Sorry.
It just grossed me out.
It's one of those things that I just assume everybody knows.
No.
And I apparently have a more varied random knowledge than you
Well,
do.
it grossed me out. Wasn't the knowledge part so much as picturing a person holding a brain and using it to rub on something. Yeah, that's all.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't deal in brains very often.
Well, it's quite common that the brain of the animal is used to tan the hide of the same animal. It's kind of a all-in-one DIY.
Yeah, but it's brains. It's gross.
Don't get me wrong, I don't want to eat them. Mainly because the texture of them is... It's been described as creamy.
Oh.
And to me, that's not appealing.
It's good I haven't had lunch yet. Oh, now I lost my train of thought.
Sorry. Did you use your brain?
Oh, no. Tanning the hides, brains, eating the brains. Oh, it's gone.
I do like the fact that Farwell is generous and not
Yes.
stingy.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that he's like, here's a barrel of dried apples. You can eat as many as you're going to make you sick.
Have at her.
When considering, like, that's a fairly valuable trade commodity.
Yeah.
I was fully expecting there to be a bit more of a, here's one type of deal.
And she seems to be free to take stuff out of the store as needed because she was giving gifts to the Nakota women.
Yeah. Like, she has way more freedom than I thought he would give her.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I just expect the worst of men. But in this type of situation, oftentimes there is such a what's yours is mine and what's mine is mine mentality that it was nice. It was refreshing change that they were more partners than,
Yeah.
you know, they were equals.
Yeah.
So
I wonder if that will continue in the second half. I don't know, but...
I do find it hilarious, though, when she shot the mountain lion. She went, how many apples will you give me for the skin?
I know. She was like...
Just like, I'm ready to bargain. Let's do this.
She was like, if he's not going to give them to me, I'm going to trade for them.
Yeah,
Right?
but that's her mentality. Oftentimes it's fine if you don't give it to me, but I will find a way to get it.
Yeah, because then they shot the bear and the other buffalo.
Yeah, she
And
went,
then
I'm going out there. This is mine.
I'm taking these pelts because I'm going to trade them.
Yeah, I did the work. I'm going to get them.
Yeah. So, yeah, she's very, like, and I'm not sure if that's a cultural thing or just the way that because she was raised, she had it wasn't her grandfather, I think it was a great uncle, but she called him grandfather, who sort of, like, taught her a lot of things about horses and shooting and all of that stuff. So I don't know how traditional that is for the women of this tribe to be that way, but...
It does seem like she had more of a well-rounded upbringing than most. If her father was, going, let's see how well my daughter can shoot. There was no indication that any of the other daughters were held up as such an example of she can kick your butt.
You're right. Yeah, but the men were also proud of her and the way that she could shoot and ride, and like even she was engaged, for lack of a better term, to another person from her tribe. And even he, like, it didn't bother him that she was a strong woman.
No, it was an asset, not a detriment.
Yeah.
Which, I do find it hilarious, though. There's the other girl that was also angling for Big Cloud.
Oh, yeah.
And basically when he's going to pick me. So Girl Mary just, no, let's go get some wood. And he went, oh, by the way, you're going to be my slave now. Yeah. Because if he picks you, I'm still in charge.
Yeah, right? I'm the first wife, so...
And, like, there was no, snarky cat fight or anything. Just like, no, this is what's expected of you.
Yeah.
And if you can't handle it, get your hands off my man.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, cool.
Yep.
Because I was fully expecting there to be a bit more of a fight or argument of some kind, as opposed to just, no, we're going to work you.
Yeah. You will always be number 2.
Yep.
Yeah. No.
Just passive aggressive, but
I definitely like her character.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. And it's not the sort of character you often see
no.
in this time period.
Well, oftentimes they're depicted in a more negative or victimized way.
Mm-hmm.
And Crow Mary is not a victim.
No, she's not.
Like,
she is definitely not. And the other thing about this book, I think, so far is fairly, like, clean. Like, not a lot of language.
No.
Or
no.
anything like that. So, sometimes, you know, you get books and whatever, swearing, you expect it, but...
Well, there's a point where don't give me the sanitized version of the past, because you're not doing anybody any favors.
Mm-hmm. But I don't think that the book is lacking because of that, because of the missing bad language.
No.
Sometimes I like to read a book that's not full of swearing, personally.
Other than, of course, God be praised.
God be praised. I don't know if that's necessarily swearing. They're praising God. Come on.
I think it all depends on how you're saying it.
Yeah, right. I don't know. To me, that just struck me as funny. I loved their friendship, and I was so sad when she had to leave her.
Oh, I know, but I'm like, you have a friend. Awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I was so glad, because it sounds like the two women at the fort are...
They're not nice women.
No.
And, yeah.
And plus, Jeannie just sounds like she's a hoot.
I know, she really does.
Like,
I was like, can you be my friend too?
kind of, yeah.
But yeah, she is a fun character. And I love their relationship and how they just instantly bonded, and they learned from each other, and
well,
you know, they were kind of at the same stages in their lives and could talk about things that were happening. And
well, I'm glad that Mary found a friend, because while Jeannie isn't in the same situation, she's Métis,
yeah,
but still, again, they left everything that you know with a guy that you barely know to an area that is not exactly easy.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that they could be friends and could actually support each other is quite nice, because oftentimes you'll have the competition in some ways, which just gets exhausting. Mm-hmm. Like,
yeah, and especially because they're not from the same tribe, and you know.
And I like the fact that Jeannie made an effort to teach Mary English in a way she can understand. Like, when she wrote the letter, she went, I am very, and drew a little picture.
Yeah.
Like, I feel very, drew a little picture.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and she made her, like, flashcards to help her learn, and so that they could write letters if they wanted to. Yeah. Okay, I don't know if it's just me. Every time I look at the name Farwell, I want to say Farquaad. I don't know why.
It's just you. I'm just glad they don't refer to him as Abe the entire time.
Yeah.
It's not a name that I like.
No.
Plus, it's so easy to say sarcastically. Abe.
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 Sorry to any Abes who are listening.
It's not your fault. You didn't pick it.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think? So at the end, we read the first 2 parts, and Farwell was leaving to go report the Wolfers for the attack on the Nakota people, which I think is a useless endeavor, personally.
I don't think it's going to do anything, but I am glad that he's actually doing it.
It's nice that he's making an effort, but because he knows that she probably won't let it go. But
and he give his wife 2 6-guns, so there's a point where, if she don't let that go, she don't let that go.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Like, I kind of peeked ahead, and the next chapter is 2 years in the future. So I'm kind of curious about what I wanted to keep reading to see.
That's the thing. Like, this read quick, and very easy to get into.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Granted, I'm curious at all times about other cultures and other, like, the fact that they can go in to the wild, survive, thrive, perfectly happy, thousands of years. The innovations and methods that they have. It's mind-bogglingly impressive.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just a curious person, so it's very easy to get into it for me. But I like the characters. I respect the characters.
Mm-hmm.
There are some characters that, Bubble Tea, for example, I hate them. I just hate them. They're terrible people.
Mm-hmm.
They are, even if they do something good, it's like, well, you're a horrible person, so it doesn't matter. Like, just as people, you just don't like them.
Yeah.
That is not a problem with this book.
Mm-mm.
Like, Crow Mary, I'm like, you sound very cool.
Yeah.
Like, I respect you. The fact that you're not willing to just stand by.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you're willing to put the work in to get the apples that you want.
Well,
and
yeah, she doesn't let herself get bossed around.
Yeah. And Jeannie's a pistol and is, frankly, hilarious. And Farwell is, well, he's not infallible, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
He's clearly trying.
Yeah.
And he's putting the effort in to make sure that Mary isn't swamped with all of these new things without any explanation or coping mechanisms or anything like that. I just like this book, plain and simple.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that it's based on real people makes it even better.
Yep. Yeah, no, it is good. I've read her first book, The Kitchen House, which I also really enjoyed, which is more set during, I want to say, the Civil War period, but I could be wrong, but also historical fiction. Anyways, she is a good writer. And when I read the intro was written by Crow Mary's great-granddaughter. When I read that part, she had been reading, I think, one of Kathleen's books and said I knew that she was the right person to tell this story. So what I was going to say before that I forgot, this time period, pioneer times, have always fascinated me, and like the homesteading and the setting up and like all of that. I'm always like, oh, I would love to have lived in this time period. But
sorry, go ahead, finish.
I would make a terrible pioneer.
I think I would do okay.
No.
In that the amount of wood I have hauled in my life numbers in the tens of thousands.
Okay.
We might even be in the hundreds of thousands, actually.
If I had just lived in that time period, it might be okay. But going from like now time, knowing what I like my life now, and then having to go back to that, couldn't do it.
That's the thing. I like my indoor plumbing. Big fan.
Yeah, huge fan.
But I've helped butcher animals. I've done leather work. I can sew. I can cook. I can make a fire.
You would be a good pioneer. I would be awful.
I've chored enough animals in my life.
Yeah.
I'm like, don't get me wrong. Is it something that I am actively aspiring to? No. Is it something that if I was dropped in the middle of 1860 right now, I think I could handle, apart from some confusion and, possibly cholera or something based on symptoms? I think I could do okay. Once the initial shock of, oh, you have a time machine and you didn't go forwards instead, wore off.
Right? No, I would be horrible at it. I don't like blood and guts and dead animals.
Yeah, there's a point where you just deal.
Well, yeah. See, if that was all I had known, it'd be fine, but...
You're making it sound like all I've known is blood and guts and dead animals.
No. I'm like, for me, I can go to the store, I can buy my meat, it's fine. I don't have to know anything about the process of how the meat got to the store. It's just there, it will come home, I will cook it and eat it.
You like being able to disassociate?
Yes, I do. But I often, like, when I read books from this time period, I'm like, oh, I would have loved to have lived back then. And then, like, reality check. Nope. Couldn't do it.
See, okay, there's a series that we have. It's Prairie something.
Pioneer Quest.
Yeah. Have you watched that?
I haven't.
You should.
I
think
want
you
to.
would find it very interesting.
The other day, somebody was checking it out, and I was like, I really should watch this sometime.
It is very interesting, and it's local. Like, it's Manitoba.
Yeah. I remember when they were making that show.
They came to our school.
Oh, really?
A year or two after. And I specifically remember because my brother was so mad that my class got to see them and he didn't. Like, he was furious. It was fantastic.
Jess was like, yes, I win.
I was smug about it. I guarantee I was smug about it.
I don't doubt that.
I was in grade 2, but I'm pretty sure I was. But Our class was doing a unit on pioneers at the time, so we were special. Yep. He wasn't. But I would recommend watching that if you're interested in pioneer times, because essentially what they do is they take two couples, I think it was 3 couples originally, I think it was 2 couples in the end, and basically went, you have X amount of money, here's a plot of land, you have to build your cabin. They gave them, I forget if they gave them a few animals or if they had to go out and buy a few animals. But basically they lived as pioneers for a year, and they had to build their own furniture, they had to, pluck their own chickens for their feather pillows, that kind of thing. It's fascinating. I highly recommend watching it. It's really interesting.
I am definitely going to check that out.
I don't have any predictions for the second half.
No. Something big's going to happen. I'm just not quite sure what it is. But
assume that Stiller's going to die.
I hope so.
And probably Hammond or Harwood.
No, not Hammond. No. Hammond is the guy who works for them.
Oh, no, that's what I mean. I expect he's going to die as well.
The guy who works for them?
Yeah.
Not the other wolfer.
No, him too. Hardwick. Hammond and Hardwick are both going to die.
Sure.
Mainly because I don't think incarceration is going to be an option.
Stonies. That's why they call them Stonies with the buffalo. Sorry, I just saw that in here. Because I was looking to see if I could find the name. But anyways, sometimes I get caught up in their, names, like Little Soldier and Goes First. And, sometimes I find that a little hard to keep straight. Because they're not...
As long as the names are capitalized, I'm good to go.
Yeah. Sees much.
But I'm used to reading fantasy and sci-fi and that kind of thing where the names are weird.
The names are weird. That is true. Yeah, I'm looking forward to finishing this book. I am glad that we're not taking 2 weeks in between recording this time so that I can finish it this week and find out what happens.
Yes, no, I'm really enjoying it. Reading the second half is not going to be a hardship, that's for sure.
We're back with part 2 of Crow Mary by Kathleen Grissom. So, I enjoyed this book. However, the second half was very depressing. I thought. I felt like just upset, sad, mad the entire time until the end.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But the thing that got me with the second half is it just jumped.
There was big gaps.
In about 3 chapters, the kid's at age 5 years. I'm like, whoa, okay.
Yep. I know. Otherwise, this probably could have been twice as long of a book as it was. But, they did jump a lot more than the first half did.
But I kind of think it was a good thing. It kind of caught you off guard a little bit because the first half was, I'm not going to say slow or anything, but it took place over 3 years?
I think something like that.
Something along those lines anyway. So it was, completely different pacing to the second half where it's like, boom, 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 now you have 3 kids. Surprise!
Yep, I know. I felt that too, and I was like, okay, this is a little...
It jumped quite a bit.
It did jump quite a bit. So when we left off, they were trying to get the men who had attacked the Nakota people, right? Nakota. And then they actually took them to trial, 2 separate trials.
Yes, one in Montana, one in Winnipeg.
Yeah, Winnipeg. I was like, woo, Winnipeg! I don't know why. But
we're in Manitoba. Anytime we get a name mentioned, we're like, yes! Somebody remembered we exist!
Yes. But 2 separate trials. Both trials, the people got off. No charges laid, whatever. And I was like, of course.
First one I disagree with. I think they should have gotten charged.
Oh, absolutely.
Second one, I think they got off free, and I think that was the right thing.
But I was like, of course they're going to get off. What do they actually think is going to happen by taking these men to trial? They are not going to put them in jail for killing Indian people. No. I'm sorry, but that was not the culture back then.
That's the fact that it even went to trial is quite surprising. The fact that Mary was actually allowed to testify as a woman and as an Indigenous person is staggering.
That was staggering. But what was he thinking?
Well, for the first one, I could understand how you could go into that thinking, okay, there's going to be justice, whatever.
Yeah, but no.
But because that one, there was more evidence.
I know.
But for the second one, I'm like, dude.
Yeah.
The other people there didn't see them.
Yeah.
And I don't I don't believe that Farwell was actually telling the truth.
No, I wonder too how much of the truth he was telling.
Like,
but just the culture at the time, you're not gonna...
The chances of there being actual serious consequences, very minimal.
Yep.
Like, they may have done a year or two in jail. Maybe.
But then he, like, ruined his good name by all of this. Which, I mean, I appreciate he wanted to get justice for these people.
I think he had good intentions, but he went about it the wrong way for the second one.
And Mary
for
was like...
the first one, it was good intentions. It was just, he didn't know.
I just had to laugh at Mary because she's like, well, let's just take our guns and go shoot them.
Yeah.
Like...
You know, I could have cleaned this up a while ago.
I know, right? Like, let's just go deal with it.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was so funny. She's like, well, why wouldn't we go after them? Because that was her culture at the time. Like, somebody takes something from you, you go and take something from them. And back and forth like that. That's just how you handle your problems. And, I mean, fair. That was how the different tribes dealt with each other. And I just was like, why would he listen to her?
But there's a point where I'm like, yeah, no, go do that. That's fine.
She's not wrong.
No.
But, yeah, I don't know. But then, like, so that set him on a path of, like, serious depression or something, and he started drinking again. And that, to me, was what made the whole second half really difficult.
Yeah.
And depressing because he
was a good guy before that. Like, even with the trial, he was trying to get justice for the Nakota people. He just kind of went about it in the wrong way with the second one. And with the first one, there was no chance.
There wasn't.
No chance. He could have come in there with a videotape in 1875. That would have been quite the miracle. He would have been...
What is this sorcery?
But he could have come in there with all the proof in the world, and it wouldn't have worked.
It would have still gone the same way.
For the second one, I'm like, no. I don't think... Like, again, good intentions, went about it in the wrong way, and I don't think the guys were actually guilty.
And I think it was just this is my second shot of, like, maybe I can put somebody away for this crime. It's not the actual people, but I think these guys were there. How much were they involved? I don't know, but I'm going to say that they were because...
Something is better than nothing.
Exactly.
And I think there's a large part of it, too, with the second half, which was saving face after the first half.
Yeah.
And if he could have gotten them jailed, arrested, hung, whatever, I think... it would have cleared his name in some ways. Yeah. Or at least vilified him a little less.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't mean he was right.
No. And then he ruined his whole life. He drank his life away.
Yeah.
And did a lot of really crappy things.
Really crappy, although I was a little bit surprised. Like, he wasn't physically abusive towards her.
No, that's true.
To give him the enciest, weensiest, teeniest bit of credit, I thought for sure that would be the way that it would go.
Yeah. But could you imagine her standing for that?
No.
She would fight back.
Oh, she would have shot him.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, and I do get the feeling that he knew that.
Yeah.
Like, it's the downside of marrying a strong woman. She's not going to put up with that kind of crap, and there will be consequences.
Yeah.
And
he knew that. I think he was smart enough at least to know.
Yeah.
To know that.
But, like, all the kids adorable.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Like, when, I forget, was it when her brother came to visit or something? When Farwell tried to get Bud to, come to him or just whatever. And Susie just went, no, he doesn't like you.
Yeah. I know.
We're just like, dang, that kid's brutal. But that sharpened him up for at least a little bit.
And he did try to get sober at least once, which, he made the effort, but
that's the thing with alcoholism. It is brutal. And alcohol has killed more people throughout history than tobacco, drugs, anything else.
Really?
Like, it is absolutely insane. And it's legal. It's fine. Go ahead, have as much as you want. It boggles the mind. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying prohibition was a good idea because people drank more. But there's a quote from, I forget who it was, but the day that prohibition ended was the first time he'd had a drink of water in 13 years. It's just drinking alcohol.
Oh my goodness.
But it is horrible.
Yeah.
And I'm blaming Stiller in a large part because...
100%.
Oh, my word.
That guy.
Every time he showed up, things got worse.
Yep.
Without fail.
And he was relentless.
Yeah.
Like, he just did not give up.
No.
And, yeah. I loved Red Fox. I went out hunting and I found a snake. And I killed the snake.
It's about Stiller's size.
Yeah.
You're not going to have problems with that snake anymore.
Big snake.
But I'm glad that... I mean, honestly, I don't think there was any other way to get rid of Stiller.
No.
Because he's a slippery, slimy little eel.
Mm-hmm.
And he would have slithered his way out of jail. He would have slithered his way out of everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, at the end, he was basically going, you know, you can agree to let me rape you, or I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
And I'll be back.
Yeah. Right?
Like, it's...
I know.
There wasn't really any other way.
Mm-mm.
But I'm glad that it was actually Red Fox that took care of him, as opposed to Mary, because...
She didn't have that on her shoulders, too.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have no doubt that she would have taken care of him.
Oh, 100%.
But it was good that she didn't have to.
Yeah.
And also Bert. Can we just give Bert an honorable mention? Because that guy is amazing.
I loved him.
I like him. He is fantastic.
He was one of my favorite characters, actually.
Him and... Oh, what's the little girl? The youngest one.
Ella?
Ella. Yeah.
Yeah.
Him and Ella. The most adorable little duo ever.
Yeah.
But, like,
Yeah.
I'm so glad she had him because, oh, my word.
Yeah.
Like,
And he stayed with her after her husband died, and she sold the ranch and was able to get some land for her kids. But you could see
the selling of the ranch to the gunslinger and making the deal with him, I'm like, dang, you're a genius. That is just
yeah,
beautiful.
I know. But I think we could also see in this book, they started to, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Fence in their tribe. What tribe was she now? Crow. Yeah.
Literally.
Oh yeah, Crow.
It's in about 2-inch letters on the front of the book and right in front of you.
So the Crow tribe, like, they gave them land, but you can't get off this land. Like, this
It's
is
a reservation.
Yeah, right? And so, like, that's kind of how it all started, right?
And then it's shrinking, and then you can't actually hunt
Yeah.
on any other land.
You can't leave your land to hunt because that's illegal.
And as long as you can hunt enough to sort of stay alive, we're not going to give you any other food. Like, just...
Right? And if you can't, we'll give you some food, but we have all of these conditions, right? And if you do this, then, well, you don't get this. And if you do this...
And if you wear your own clothes, you don't get your food.
Yeah.
Like, just horrific.
And I think that they didn't fully understand what all of that was, right?
Multiple times have said, I didn't sign the treaty.
Yeah.
I myself personally didn't sign it, so it doesn't count.
Apply to me, right?
Like, I don't care if Chief... What's his name? My brain is stuck on Strongbow. Soldier?
Strongbow was her brother.
Yeah.
Let's see.
But it didn't matter to them if the chief had signed the...
I know.
treaty or not. The reality was, I didn't sign it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't apply to me. Like, and there's a point where I'm like, well, yeah, if it's the whole consent versus informed consent thing.
Horse guard.
Horse guard. That's what it was.
Yep.
But
it was like, yeah, okay, they had a piece of land that belonged to them, but that's all they had.
Yeah.
Right? And that changed their lifestyle and the way that they lived and did things. And
when your lifestyle's nomadic and dependent on following herds of buffalo, the buffalo are going to leave.
Yeah.
What are you going to eat now?
Exactly.
What are you going to use for all the uses that we mentioned in the first half that I don't remember off the top of my head?
Oh, here. I have this. Maybe Linda can post this. I think I sent it to her. It's a graphic of uses of the buffalo by part.
Dang.
I know.
I gotta find me a buffalo.
It's wild.
Very handy.
It's wild. So they did a lot with, like, and literally every part. Like, it talks about the bladder, the gallbladder, the tendons and muscles, the liver, the brains, the skull, like the beard, the tongue,
Blood.
the teeth, like everything.
Dung. Diaper powder.
Yes, they put the dung in the diapers.
Well, that was the one thing I found interesting with, I think first, Susie. They used cattail down as diaper. I'm like, I've never thought of what they used as diapers before, but that is genius.
I know. It's, yeah.
So many things that we've just lost.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, they had their whole way of life laid out, and they were self-sufficient. They didn't need anybody.
They needed one buffalo, and you have, like, a gazillion things here.
Mm-hmm. And then the white people came and took that all away from them.
Yeah. Dang, white people.
Oh, it was supposed to be more of in our fun facts, but...
Yeah, but it's fascinating.
It's a fascinating graphic, for sure. Just to see, like...
Oh, that makes sense. Sorry, the tail used for knife sheaths.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Like, they were really resourceful. And do I think a lot of
No
this...
wonder she was like, no, that is my buffalo.
Yeah. Do I think a lot of that's kind of gross? Yes, I do.
Ugh, tongue, comb, the rough side. I do not want to brush my hair with a comb.
You don't want a
with the
buffalo tongue comb?
No.
Maybe I should give one to my daughter and see how she likes it.
Anyway, distracted by the uses of a buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Where were we?
How they took their way of life away from them. And, like, Farwell couldn't seem to understand, like...
Why they couldn't just conform.
Yeah, why can't, like, I built this beautiful big ranch for my family. Why isn't everybody doing this?
Yeah.
Like, he didn't understand that. Well, first of all, as a people, they didn't need that much. Like, she was like, I don't need a big house.
No.
I need my teepee, my lodge, whatever. That's all I need.
Yeah.
I don't need all of these things. And I think that's part of the problem is that it's greed, basic greed, right?
Well, it was never had enough cattle, never had enough horses, never had enough land. That I understand it comes from I need to be able to take care of my family, I need to be able to take care of myself, but he couldn't see the fact that his family was perfectly fine.
Yeah.
They just needed their father not to sign them away to a residential school.
Right? Oh, that made me so angry.
Like,
I was so happy that Ella got away.
no kidding. And that Bud got away later, but...
He did escape and came home, and I was happy. And you know what? For Susie to stay and do her nurse's training, that's fine too. That's what she wanted. That's okay. The way that it happened, I don't like, but...
I think there could have been more of a discussion of would you like to go to school as opposed to being kidnapped and thrown in the back of a wagon by random men.
Yeah.
That's not a school bus I'd ever like to go on.
No, but he could, like, Farwell just couldn't see. Like, we're happy, we're content here, we have what we need. It was just more, and my kids have to go to school because they have to learn the white man's way and they have to...
Yeah.
Whatever. Well...
But...
Do they want that?
Was it Susie? Susie or Bud, one of them anyway, in one of their letters said, like, they were surprised at how well they could speak English and everything when they got to the school. And clearly the schooling that they were doing was working.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, they were learning at home.
Just because they were also learning the ways of the Crow doesn't mean they weren't learning the ways of Farwell's people. Like, you can learn two things at once.
That's true.
Like, and before Farwell started drinking, it seemed like he understood, like, and was quite accepting of the fact that Mary had other ways of doing things. She was resourceful. She had this history, this culture and everything that, granted, benefited him in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. But before he started drinking, he was fine with the Crow part of Crow Mary.
Yeah.
And when he started drinking, he wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Don't drink.
Yeah, right?
Like, nobody wins. Nobody wins.
It's really not worth it, I feel like.
No.
But we have such a culture of it now. You know, like, Mom's always talking about, oh, I gotta have a glass of wine, I'm so whatever. And yeah, okay, maybe that helps you relax for, like, an hour, but it doesn't solve your problems.
Well, that's the thing. Like, it's the drinking to excess as a common thing. Mm-hmm. Where it's like, really?
Yeah. Like,
I don't understand the appeal of it.
I drink socially once in a while, but usually not more than one drink because I don't care for being hungover.
That's the thing that I don't understand. Why would you drink so much that you have a splitting headache the next day?
And that,
I get migraines. Do you think I would willingly sign up for that? Oh, hell no, on so many levels.
Or puking.
No.
Like, I hate puking. I don't want to puke ever. Why am I going to drink so much that I'm going to puke? No, thank you. But, I mean...
And I understand that when it comes to alcoholism, especially fetal alcohol syndrome and everything, there's often genetic components, and I don't want to say you don't have a choice, but you're predisposed to having more of an issue with it.
Yeah.
If that's the correct way to put it. I mean, no offense if it's not. I'm not blaming them for that.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't understand why you'd go to a party and drink so much that you don't remember anything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it. Like,
Yeah.
don't understand.
Yeah, I know.
And the sad thing was with Farwell, he knew it was a problem.
Mm-hmm.
He knew it was an issue for him, and he did it anyway.
Yep. I know. Well, that's what addiction is, right? You can't help yourself almost.
No.
So, yeah, I mean, the book ended on a hopeful note.
Yeah, they
Which
got
is
land.
good.
The gunslinger had their place, and everybody was basically told that you try to take my kids again, you're going to die. Which, fair enough. That'll keep most people away.
Yeah, and so I liked it wasn't like depressing, really depressing.
Yeah.
The end.
And they all lived depressingly ever after.
Right. There was at least hope in the end that she was gonna turn things around, and
Susie did come back, and she did use her nursing skills to help her people and everything, which, good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad something positive came out of the horror that is residential schools,
yeah.
at least in that small way.
Yep.
But the one thing I didn't like was the fact that it's based on a real person, and at the end there wasn't any like, and then she died at the age of 86, jumping into a volcano. Like, I need some kind of, this was the end.
Yeah, there was none of that.
Like, I like the fact that it ended on, like, them going to set up their new ranch and everything, or their new homestead.
Mm-hmm.
But then it just ended.
That was...
So,
here's our new land, the end.
also, at the end of the book, so there is acknowledgments and everything, and I do like the fact that she did say, like, all of these people helped her, and they had there was somebody who was a sensitivity reader,
Mm-hmm.
where I'm like, good, okay.
Yeah.
It's reassuring to know that it wasn't colonialized,
Yeah.
for the sake of making us feel better. Granted, fiction, of course, but that a solid good faith attempt was made to present things as accurately as possible.
Yeah, and the elders okayed her use of words like squaw and I can't remember what other words, but those types of like derogatory terms because for the accuracy of the story, right?
Okay, your copy doesn't have it. End of my ebook copy had recipes.
What are recipes?
One of which was a blackberry vodka drink. Where I'm like, really? We just read a book about alcoholism. And since yours doesn't have it, I wonder if there was a glitch in the copy or something like that.
Oh, maybe.
But I'm like, that is so inappropriate.
That seems weird that there would be recipes.
Yeah, it threw me off a bit, because I was like,
The
what
type of
the
book
heck?
that I would put recipes in.
No, so I'm wondering if there's a glitch in the actual file or something, but I'm like, seriously?
That is a little, yeah.
So, since yours doesn't have it, my outrage is now gone, because I'm pretty sure my copies just came with optional extras. But that was something that kind of threw me off. I was reading through the acknowledgements, and mine also had a discussion guide at the end.
Oh, okay.
For book clubs and stuff. But it just threw me off. What the heck's that doing there?
I should check I wonder if our copy came in.
I think our copy's a paperback.
I wonder. I should check it after.
Might be a different one, but it just...
That is a little silly.
Like reading a book about somebody who's got a drug addiction, and then, oh, by the way, here's links to Breaking Bad and a recipe for meth.
Yeah.
Right. It's... Yeah. But anyway. Do you have any fun facts for us, Janine? Other than, of course, the many, many uses of a buffalo. That really... This shouldn't make me want to kill a buffalo, but it kind of makes me want to use up a buffalo. Except for a comb, because I'm not using a tongue as a comb. Ugh.
Come on. You can use it for the dogs. You can comb the dogs with it.
They would eat that thing. They would not have the patience for that.
Well, isn't it also a delicacy? Does it not say, like,
also
eating?
a delicacy, yeah.
Yeah. So, yes, I do have some fun facts on bison or buffalo, which is why I have this sheet. So maybe we'll talk about some of the other uses later. But, yeah. There is no animal as emblematic of the West as the buffalo, aka bison. Once innumerable herds provided for the needs of indigenous peoples and so impressed Europeans that they thought its population was truly inextinguishable. Métis trader, hunter, guide, and translator Peter Erasmus joined the Palliser expedition alongside James Hector, later recounting how we traveled through herds of buffalo nearly all the way. Deep ruts scored the prairie grass where the buffalo had traveled for centuries in their migrations back and forth across the plains. Our journey was frequently interrupted by the need to wait for the huge herds of buffalo that blocked our passage. These vast herds were the greatest I had ever witnessed. I only then realized that we had been in the extreme northern edges of the great herds that grazed along our borders and away south into American territory. The arrival of Europeans brought with it the near extinction of those nearly limitless buffalo herds. As Peter Erasmus recollected upon seeing those greatest herds I have ever witnessed, that it was then beyond my imagination to believe that the next 15 years would see the last period of the buffalo's existence in our country. There were an estimated 30 million buffalo in North America at the outset of the 19th century. By its end, there were less than 600. The largest free-ranger herd in North America was 30 animals in Yellowstone National Park. There were no plains buffalo remaining in Canada. Today, there are some 500,000 plains buffalo in North America, mostly in private herds where they supply a growing market for lean buffalo meat. Approximately 1,000 plains buffalo are free-ranging in Canada. What is the difference between a bison and a buffalo? In North America, both bison and buffalo refer to the American bison.
Yes, to use a
scientific term.
Yep.
Generally, buffalo is used informally. Bison is preferred for more formal or scientific purposes.
Just now imagining a bison in like a bow tie and like, you know, stupid little dog costumes. That, but on a buffalo,
yeah.
Which is delightful.
Early European explorers called this animal by many names. Historians believe that the term buffalo grew from the French word for beef, boeuf. Some people insist that the term buffalo is incorrect because the true buffalo exists on other continents and are only distant relatives. So it would be like a water buffalo or...
There's the Asian buffalo.
Yeah. A bison's massive hump is comprised of muscles supported by long vertebrae. This allows a bison to use its head as a snowplow in winter, swinging side to side to sweep aside the snow.
We should hire them.
I know,
right?
Right?
Snow get cleared.
I was just picturing that, though, also, like a bison, like... Nobody can see what I'm doing, thankfully. But
she's swinging her head back and forth like a bison do.
Yeah. Size and behavior. The male or bull weighs up to 2,000 pounds, and the female or cow weighs up to 1,000 pounds. May live 12 to 15 years, and a few live as long as 20 years. They feed primarily on grasses and sedges. Mate in late July through August, give birth to one calf in late April or May. They can be aggressive, are agile, and can run up to 30 miles per hour.
Oh, they're fast.
Yeah, apparently. Bison have excellent senses of hearing and smell, but they can't see very well. Because of their poor eyesight, an entire herd can stampede if startled. Yellowstone is the only place in the United States where bison have lived continuously since prehistoric times. A number of Native American tribes especially revere Yellowstone's bison as pure descendants of the vast herds that once roamed the grasslands of the United States. The largest bison population in the country on public land resides in Yellowstone. And if you want more information about that, you can go to the Yellowstone website. There is a lot of information about the bison there.
And if you want to see people being ridiculous, look at the National Park Services, and you can see a lot of people trying to pet a buffalo or try to squeeze past a buffalo with their car. Buffalo win.
I would not advise.
No, leave the buffalo alone.
Do not try at home. So let's talk about some of the uses. We won't read all of these because there's just way too many.
No, but I kind of want to.
Well, if you want to, I'm not going to stop you. But
it is very. Do you? I'm going to.
Okay.
Because I don't think they understand quite the staggering number of uses for a buffalo.
All right, settle in, folks.
Yep. Get your buffalo ready. So, traditional uses of buffalo. So, the tanned hide used for backrests, bags, beds, belts, blankets, bridles, caps, cradles, doll mittens, dresses, leggings, moccasin tops, pillows, pouches, ropes, shirts, sweat lodge, cover, tapestries, teepee liners, teepee covers, winter robes. Meat. Immediate use, obviously. Dried meat jerky, pemmican, and sausages. Tail, decoration, fly swatter, knife sheath, medicine, switch, and whips. Dung, diaper powder, and fuel. Bladder, food pouches, medicine bags, water container, weird spacing. Gall, yellow paint. Tendons and muscles, arrow ties, bowstrings, cinches, and sinew. Liver, food and a tanning agent. Brains, food and hide preparation. Skull, altar, de-hairing tool, sundance.
De-hairing tool?
Yeah.
Like to de-hair the buffalo?
Scrape it and stuff.
Okay.
Blood, paint, puddings, and soups. Horns. Arrow points, cups, fire carrier, headdresses, ladles, medication, ornaments, powder horn, signals, spoons, and toys. Beard, ornaments. Only one use for a beard. It's always just ornaments. Tongue, choice of meat, comb, if you use the rough side of the tongue as a comb. Bones, used for arrowheads, awls, eating utensils, fleshing tools, game dice, jewelry, knives, painting tools, pipes, quirts, saddle trees, scrapers, shovels, sleds, splints, toys, and war clubs. Teeth, ornaments. Fat, used for soaps, tallow, tanning, hair grease, filled pipe sealer, and cosmetic aids. Foot bones, teething toys, toy buffalo, or horse. I don't want my child chewing on a foot bone. Although I guess, the kid's screaming at 2 a.m, anything's better than nothing. Stomach liner, cooking vessels, and water container. Rawhide, masks, cinches, ornaments, rattles, sheaths, snowshoes, trunks, horse water trough, moccasin soles, containers, quivers, ropes, shields, splints, lariats, buckets, caps, drums, rafts, saddles, shrouds, and straps. Scrotum, containers and rattles. Stomach contents, medicine and plants, dew claws, glue, rattles, and wind chimes. Hoof sheath. Say that 3 times fast. Hoof sheath.
Hoof sheath?
Hoof sheath.
Hoof sheath.
Hoof sheath. Containers, glue, rattles, spoons, and wind chimes. And the hair used for bracelets, braided ropes, doll stuffing, hair pieces, headdresses, horse halters, medicine balls, moccasin lining, ornaments, pad fillers, and pillow fillers. So, if you happen to have a spare buffalo lying around, don't let it go to waste.
Yeah. You can use all the parts.
Yes.
Literally every one.
I don't think there's a single thing there. Intestines?
They didn't talk about intestines. I was thinking also kidneys.
They didn't talk about kidney or intestine, but
I'm guessing
they may have counted that, like the kidney as meat.
Oh, maybe.
And I know quite commonly intestines are used for sausage casing.
Yeah, and they do have sausages on there, right?
And they do have sausages on here, so that may have been kind of an all-in-one type of deal.
The heart.
The heart, not on here, but again, often put in sausages. This entire book just made me want stew and to cook things over a fire.
Yeah, it made me want to go back to a simpler but not simpler time.
It just made me want stew.
But I definitely would recommend it. I think it's a good book.
10 out of 10 recommend. It's an excellent book.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else. I'm sure I had a note at some point, but yeah, we'll end it there. Now you have uses for your spare buffalo that you've kept hanging around and didn't know what you were going to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping it as a pet is also an option. Just saying.
Also, I wonder...
Just kidding. Don't keep it as a pet. They're not tame animals, obviously. Just... some people keep weird pets. Some people think alligators are pets, so I do feel like you have to state that no, a buffalo is not a pet.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
There you go. I just want to sing the Water Buffalo song, but...
I think we should end on that. Proceed, Janine.
Everybody has a water buffalo. Yours is fast, but mine is slow. Where do we get them? I don't know. Everybody has a water buffalo. Woo!
That does remind me. There's a terrible movie called Buffalo Rider, I think. It's a guy that rides around on a buffalo. And somebody made a terrible song based off this movie. And I think if you just look up Buffalo Rider on YouTube, it's there. But go watch it. It is delightfully bad. But with that lovely rendition of Water Buffalo song, we're going to end now because clearly we're losing our minds a little bit. So that's what we thought of the book, but those are just our opinions, and we'd like to hear yours. Leave us a comment.
Thanks for joining us for Books and Banter, and thanks to our editor, Linda. We'll see you next time.